Hello everybody and welcome to the ARC Audio Technical Training Series. My name is Fred Lynch and today I'm going to walk you through the steps to properly hook up the power, ground, and remote turn-on leads to your PS8. If you have ever hooked up or installed a traditional aftermarket audio system, in most vehicles you're going to find two primary components. A head unit, which is a source unit, CD player, or something like that, and an amplifier. In this case we're going to use the ARC Audio XDI 1200.6. Now with these two components we traditionally have a head unit which is connected to the vehicle's existing factory radio harness, giving you power, ground, and also the necessary trigger which tells your head unit when to turn on and off when your key is turned on and off. This allows you to turn your system on and off without it staying turned on with nobody in the vehicle. Then the amplifier has power and ground, power typically hooked up to the vehicle's battery, and ground hooked up to the chassis of the vehicle, as well as also a connection called the remote turn-on output lead from your new aftermarket head unit. This is typically a blue with a white stripe wire on most aftermarket radios. This allows your amplifier to know when it needs to turn on and off with the aftermarket radio. For this demonstration we're also going to show the three sets of RCA cables that we have running between our head unit and also the amplifier. This is a very common system for people that are running three-way active or all-in-one multi-channel amplifiers like the 1206. Now it's time to add the PS8. The PS8 has a main connection terminal block located on the input side of the PS8. This is where you're going to make all of your non-audio related, non-signal related connections that will bring your PS8 to life. This includes power, ground, remote turn on in and out, preset triggers, and even an illumination trigger for the PSC controller. Following the same connection steps as an amplifier, you're going to want to connect the PS8's main ground lead to the chassis. Please do not connect this to any seatbelt bolt or seat bolt. And you want to make sure that the surface is clean and the paint's removed. You shouldn't need to run any wires directly to the battery for ground for connection. It's extremely important that this connection is good, otherwise you do risk getting unwanted noise in your system. Then you're going to connect the PS8's main power lead to the main power block terminal. This is going to be the second position from the right. Using a 18 to 20 gauge primary wire, and make sure that you also equip this with a 5 amp fuse within 18 inches of wherever you're making your power connection at. Always remember to use a fuse on any power leads, as there's no excuse for safety when installing anything into your vehicle. Now that you have your PS8 main power and ground connected, you're going to want to reroute your RCAs that you had previously ran to go now from the source unit to the inputs of the PS8. Then you're going to want to run a second set of RCAs from the PS8 to the inputs of the amplifier. Now, last but not least, we need to tell the PS8 when it needs to turn on with the rest of the system. Now, some people may try to simply tap off the remote turn-on lead already installed in the vehicle, connecting both the PS8 and the amplifier off of the source unit's remote turn-on output lead, like this. This is not the correct way to make this connection. Connecting the remote trigger lead like this can cause loud and potentially system damaging turn on pops and turn off pops. To connect this correctly, you're going to need to pull your trigger lead, and you're going to run this remote trigger lead from the head unit to the input of the PS8 on the remote input terminal. This is the third terminal from the right on the main block. Then, using another separate wire, connect a wire from the PS8's remote turn-on output terminal. This is the fourth terminal from the right of the main block to your amplifier's remote turn-on input terminal. Sounds confusing. It's pretty easy though. And this is typically found between the main power and ground connections on your amplifier. Well, that covers physically connecting your PS8 to your existing system. Now, there is one additional step for setup of this, and that has to deal with the PS8's programmable remote turn-on interface. This allows you to specially define the timing of the input and the output of that remote turn-on circuit to create a wide variety of applications for the PS8. But we're going to cover that in part 2 of this episode. So, please be sure to check out part 2 of this episode of the ARC Audio Product Technical Training Series on hooking up your PS8. With that said, this is Fred Lynch of ARC Audio saying bye for now, and good luck and good tuning.